Hello, hello, my dear friends and family. Operator Starsky joins the chat. What the hell is wrong with my earpiece? Anyways, it's so good to see you, my friends. Couldn't wait to start this stream because, first of all, I missed you so much. Been extremely busy these couple of weeks, and secondly, I could not wait to have coffee. Mm, fantastic. So, how are you doing? We have United States, we have Germany. We have also some guests in Germany, right, Katalin? Also, what else? Australia, Croatia, Netherlands. Betsy, is always good to see you. So today we will talk about the recent Epstein files dump that we can see. And by the way, UK Scooby, I missed you. I missed you more. I missed you more. So we will talk about this file dump that was released, and specifically several very interesting people that could be found there, right? We also have London, we have Baden Oblast, and Switzerland. Jesus. Okay, okay, okay. Let's talk about this one. So, let's talk about that email correspondence between Epstein and his little Russian friends from little Russian FSB. And you may ask yourself, all right, so where do I see those emails, pictures, videos myself? How do I get my hands on that? Because there's like millions and millions of files. Nobody could even see all of them, all right? Like it's impossible to scroll, through several million files in such a short period of time. Like where can I see them? The DOG website sucks balls, all right? So if you go here, all right, that link, you can literally see everything, all right? So the most recent updates, the emails, the chats, basically everything. It's made in a very convenient form of like pseudo Gmail account of Jeffrey Epstein, and also it gives you the opportunity to see the original files, all right? Because millions of files being indexed, it takes a lot of time. Of course, there are different typos and mistakes emerging because of indexing from like PDFs to digital form. But generally, if you go to this site, oh shit, I just successfully closed the window that I kept open for you, my friends. Give me just a second, right? There it is. So if you go to this website, you will basically land over here, right? Like you can see all the stuff, the emails. There's also like Google Drive and stuff like that, flights and everything. One thing I want to tell you immediately is that remember we talked about Jeffrey Epstein's flights to Kiev. So that specific flight that I was talking about, it was wrong, all right, because the Kiev Boryspil airport was mistakenly identified, all right? But there are other flights. We'll talk about it. But first of all, I would like to talk about this person. And let me see if I can just close this and translate this automatically for you, my dear friends. This one is Belyakov Sergei, Russian oligarch. We talked about this dude previously, and if you remember, that very dude is one of the best friends of Epstein in Russia, the dude who actually helped him to uh, not smuggle, but transport several Russian women, including the Svetlana Pozhidava supermodel. We talked about her as well. If you don't remember the story, let me remind it to you, my friends. So this guy, Sergei Belyakov, finished FSB Academy. He served in the Border Guard Service of the Terrorist Federation. The Border Guard Service is the Russian military service supervised not by the Russian Ministry of Interior, like in Ukraine, or by Russian Ministry of Defense. It's supervised by FSB, all right? And he served there after graduating from FSB Academy as an FSB officer, all right? Then he served in the Border Guard Service, again as an FSB officer. And then he finished the army, and he skyrocketed. He started, like going upstairs, up this career stairs in Russia, and he literally became like deputy of current chief of the central bank, Mrs. Nabiulina. So he was her deputy for a while, not in central bank. It's when she was a minister back in those days. But he became very, very close friend with Jeffrey Epstein, and they talked a lot. So when I first talked about this, um, those emails were not there yet. All right. They were only, let's say, owned, all right, by the international organization called Dossier. Those guys, I believe they're UK based, and they talk about different Russian criminal circles, FSB circles, spies, all that stuff. They conduct a lot of legit journalist investigations. Those guys are perfect, all right. So they actually published an article about Epstein's links with this dude, with Belyakov. And unfortunately, in that database, we couldn't see those emails yet. But now we can, because when this service only started, there were like 3,000 emails in this inbox. But now there's 7,500 emails, and you can read them all, including the correspondence between Epstein and Belyakov himself. Again, Belyakov, let me remind you, is an FSB Academy graduate. Are there ex-spies in Russia? That's a rhetorical question, right? So Belyakov would provide Epstein with different dossiers on different people and stuff like that. So, just to remind yourself, you can check out the previous video regarding this subject. So we have evidence that not only Epstein was texting, all right, Sergei Belyakov, but they also kind of met in the United States, because Belyakov planned his trip to the United States, and Epstein talked with his assistant, Balyakina Yelena Balyakina, that is assistant for Sergei Belyakov. He talked to her regarding that trip. She says, "Dear Mr. Epstein, Mr. Belyakov asked me to send you details of his trip to the USA next week." That's 2015, 2 years after the Russian hybrid invasion and annexation of Crimea. So basically, that is his schedule. He would visit Columbia, Washington, D.C., and stuff, New York City. Yeah, and basically, I believe that if Jeffrey Epstein is asking when is Chicago, and she replies, then apparently they met in Chicago. Around 4th of July 2015. So they literally met in person. There you can also see the original documents. I am not a robot, I swear. Yes, I am 18. Thank you for asking. Like, there is literally all the originals right there. So, that is very interesting to read because there's like people in the internet saying, all right, we can see more and more allegations that Jeffrey Epstein was related to Russia, connected with Russians, and most probably connected with Russian spies. Guys, there's like literally an FSB dude right there, all right, that he was meeting with uh, allegedly in Chicago in 2015. So he also made this Belyakov acquainted with Peter Thiel. There, for example, my very good friend that I had organizing innovation conference in Moscow will be in Palo Alto. Any interest? And Thiel is asking, give me a bit more context, more detail on Belyakov. So was it here? I think. Yeah, so there he basically introduced Sergei and Peter via the email, and that is how they became acquainted. Could you please propose some time slots for our meeting with Mr. Thiel on July 8th? Looking forward to your reply, Sergei Belyakov. Much love and respect from glorious Russian FSB. Um, Trump is in the files. I would be surprised if Trump wasn't in the files, but like the craziest thing is that Trump is probably the most famous person in those files. Like he's the most popular dude in those files. Uh, Joe Biden is much rarer, all right? It's very hard to find Joe Biden in the files for a very, very simple reason. While the rich pedophiles that are friends of um, Jeffrey Epstein, like all those oligarchs and stuff, while they were molesting kids, Joe Biden was molesting their mothers. Like, that is the only reason why it's hard to find Joe Biden in those files. That's something they don't like to admit much. But let's return to this stuff. Um, yeah, this one is fun. Bilyakov says, congratulations with your president. Uh, Much respect, Sergei Belyakov, and Jeffrey says, fun. Yeah, 2016, November. Kind of cringy. So, what else can we say about this one? We also know that besides Sergei Belyakov, who is his FSB link, Jeffrey Epstein also tried to find access to Putin directly, all right, via uh, Yagland. Okay, it's also there in the emails. Again, you can find it there yourself. Please do. Again, just to remind you, you can go like here, see everything yourself, become investigators yourself, my friends. There's a lot of amazing things right there. But besides that, of course, we have a lot of emails from Pazhadaeva. Extremely convenient search in all those emails. There it is. All right, there it is. Blah blah blah. Svetlana, I am in Liguria, right? Really? Liguria seems like a very nice place. Um, all the correspondence. Frankly speaking, I didn't spend much time reading all the emails uh, between Svetlana Pozhidava and Jeffrey Epstein, but you can find a lot. Um, Besides that, of course, there is a lot of information, not only regarding those contacts, but also different emails regarding Ukraine. Let me know there in the chat, all right, since we gathered here for a cup of coffee. Let me know there in the chat what would you like to search for in those files. All right, we have like almost 8,000 emails right there. I would like to search whatever is related to Ukraine. So, what do we have? 22 years old, 176 centimeters, Ukraine. That is apparently related to human trafficking. All right. Between Jeffrey and this redacted person could be like, I don't know, whoever, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, you name it, doesn't have her details. Who can give me the contact details for this lady? Thank you. And Jeffrey says, like, 22 years old, 176, from Ukraine. And that is, by the way, something very interesting because while surfing through the Epstein's files, specifically his pictures, I found several international IDs of redacted Ukrainian girls. All right. So those were found during the official search on his property. There are quite a few of those. I remember, I think I saved them somewhere, but I think it's on the other computer. But you can actually find those IDs there. Besides those IDs, there are several IDs like from Croatia, as far as I remember. And how's that for a conflict of interest? Jenny, what do you mean? Will it even hurt Putin to be in the files? So, regarding Putin, what we know exactly is that Epstein tried to get in touch with Putin directly through Jagland. Jagland, of course, had direct access to Putin time to time because they weren't like friends, like buddies, of course. They had official meetings between Putin and Jagland would deliver to Putin all sorts of messages from his good friend Jeffrey Epstein. And apparently, Putin, of course, understood that Epstein collaborates with Russia through people like Churkin, through that fucking dying horse Lavrov, and also through Jagland and I believe other contacts as well. Again, we will see more, all right? The more those files are being published, the more emails we are now able to read. Will it hurt Putin to be in the files? I don't think so. I think the only thing that might hurt Putin is actually if he breaks some of his high heels, all right, on public, and that will be like showed everywhere. That will definitely hurt him because he can fall down and actually hit his like face against the ground and stuff. So that would definitely hurt. Epstein being involved in like this child and human trafficking network and stuff. What can hurt Putin? Putin killed his own citizens. He blew up several houses in Russia. Didn't hurt Putin at all. He kissed boy's belly on camera. He drew a vagina in school on the whiteboard in front of students, and it didn't hurt him. Everybody were like, ha ha ha, we have such a funny Tsar. So I don't think it will literally hurt him, unfortunately, because again, even though the files are published, even though we can read all sorts of names, some of them are redacted, they redact Trump all the time and stuff, but even though we can already find names like, I don't know, Trump, or Musk, Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, everybody else. As of today, zero of the pedophiles involved in this Epstein's network were arrested. So it will not hurt them either. All right, so let's be realistic. It will not hurt those people because they have money, they have power, and they think that they can do whatever they want. All right, they can just go around fucking geese. All right, and dancing lambada naked. Nothing will hurt them because they have money and they have power. They can buy people. They can buy like prosecutors, they can buy Congress members, they can do all that, all right? And of course, they are extremely rich because, again, as those files show, Epstein actually not only collected a lot of compromise on different people, but he was also involved in literally pumping Russian money into the guys, into that society of rich pedophiles currently wearing red hats in the United States. Massively, and not only them, also involving the financial network that financed different far right and far left organizations around Europe, United States, and so on and so on. So they can buy presidents, they can become presidents, which is, I think, even worse. Prince Andrew is now being investigated. That is something that should have been done years ago. All right. For example, Andrew is his name, Andrew Bustamante, the CIA officer, former CIA officer. He is convinced that, for example, Jeffrey Epstein, he evaded the justice for such a long time because he was confidential informant for FBI, all right? But that doesn't make any sense because the very idea of being a confidential informant, as I already mentioned, is to infiltrate and trace the network of criminals and then arrest those criminals, all right? 0 people were arrested since, like, I don't know, like 2007. Almost 10, almost 20 years. Almost 20 years, my friends. Doesn't take so much time to literally start arresting people involved in human trafficking and other despicable crimes. Uh, he wasn't a confidential informant for the FBI. The very idea of the people who were like trying to understand all those schemes and stuff, all that network of criminals involved in all this, was literally to understand how to protect them, how to cover up their crimes, what to do to make sure that they don't face responsibility and stuff because they pay big money. All right, they want to make sure that they will be fine. The FBI talked to the British law enforcement, same stuff. Okay, again, it's all in the emails, same stuff. They talked, can we question Prince Andrew? And they, I don't think that they actually gave the FBI such an opportunity. So um, it's actually very much, how to say it, sad, I think. It's disturbing and it's sad that we can only see Andrew kind of slowly being starting, all right, to be investigated in 2026. Also, my friends, with that, before I continue, I need to make this, all right? I need to do this. I send the rays of love and respect to the legendary people of Cardiff, of course, because Cardiff is always in my heart, in my souls. The people of Cardiff are absolutely legendary, all right? They really are. And I only wish them the best. There is like a tiny opportunity that maybe Like it's not excluded that maybe like in the nearest future I will go myself to I will visit the holy land of Cardiff, this legendary place. I will kiss the soil, and most probably I will even have a cold one with like local football hooligans, maybe if I survive. Yeah, but it's like I'm not promising. All right, so shout out to Cardiff and all the legendary people living there. So let's talk about Ukraine in the Epstein's files because that is actually very interesting. There we have George Mantsavinatos, all right. Dear Jeffrey, it's been a long since our last conversation, blah, blah, blah. I am coming back to you with an investment proposal in the banking sector in Ukraine. Please find attached the teaser that the current CEO of Piraeus Bank in Ukraine sent us, and we would like to hear your thoughts. That is actually very interesting. I know this bank in Ukraine that they were talking about. Um, that's very interesting that they're, of course, asking advice from Jeffrey Epstein in 2017 after he was already convicted and stuff. But all right, who cares? So, what else? Lena 12 Ukraine. My God, Lena 12 Ukraine. Jesus Christ. Masha Manyuk, I have sent you an email that I have about that I have met in Paris, blah, blah, blah. Masha Manyuk. Masha Manyuk. I tried to search Masha Manyuk. I didn't succeed much, but this one I actually found. So Jeffrey sends email to Rich Khan and Bella Klein, Sofia Girich, Kiev. All right. Who is Sofia Girich? Let's check her out. Her name is like the reason it's easy to find her is that Sofia Girich is not a really widespread name, all right? We can see that she's a model. Yeah, there she is mentioned. She's a Ukrainian model. Here we have all the data on her. Her actually it must be it must be here like the size of breast, size of waist and stuff like that, and blah blah blah. She participated in different um, contests, all right, like Miss Ukraine competition and stuff. So she was actually easy to find, and actually Jeffrey Epstein mentions her in that email as well. Um, Here he actually talks to some, I believe, either Polish or Ukrainian person. I believe she was Polish. I think this one is Christina Gwiazda, but again, I can be wrong. There she sends Jeffrey Epstein some links to her videos, all right, because that is move files. So those are videos. Per his request, he requests her to send some kind of, I don't know, footage of her. All right. So yeah, he actually used FaceTime and he also used emails to communicate with those. Yeah, that's Christina Gwiazda. Christina Gwiazda, that is 100% Polish name. Again, I think we can find her, but the problem is Christina Gwiazda is actually a very popular name, as far as I can tell. All right. Uh, he should have used Proton Mail. Uh, no, he shouldn't have. Like, luckily, he didn't. All right. But again, we don't see everything. All right. We don't see all of his correspondence yet, unfortunately, because I think that there are much more emails than 7,500. There's much more of them. So he's discussing different, and again, you can see that the emails are indexed in a really strange way. Sometimes they are just duplicated there. I don't know. Um, there's also correspondence between Epstein and Noam Chomsky regarding Ukraine. Like generally, Epstein says that Ukraine, and that is literally after the Revolution of Dignity, he says that Ukraine becomes a good place for investment, apparently because Ukraine develops more connections and more trade relations with the West, but also he talks about Ukraine in like this derogatory manner to people like Belyakov and other like big pro-Russian American oligarchs, because again, all close friends of Epstein, specifically all those like rich pedophiles, at the same time they are also pro-Russian heavily. Such a coincidence, I literally don't know how to explain, my friends. Maybe you know the explanation, all right? I literally have no idea. So let me know what would you like to search in those files as well, because there's a lot of them. You cannot just like read them all, all right? Unfortunately, we have to just search stuff. So if you have any interesting suggestions, please let me know there in the chat, all right? How back do the Epstein files date back? Like 2006, 2007. If you scroll all the way back, you will see even his older files when he was using, I think, Yahoo or Hotmail. So, like, all the way, like 20 years ago. And that is crazy. You can see that his lover, I don't know, co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell also used like the old one. Was it Yahoo or Hotmail, something like that, in those years? And then when Google became more like popular and advanced, and also due to their close relation, all right, with the developer of Google, uh, also Russian, by the way, they decided to literally switch to Google. Elon Musk is mentioned lately. Oh yeah, Elon Musk. Elon Musk. What do we know about Elon Musk? Yeah, Raid and Join. My God, Raid and Joy will meet me in Palm Beach. Blah blah blah. Then to Boston on the 30th. Come. Blah blah blah. There are like long conversations. This one is, I believe, like 140 emails or something. Are you planning to do St. Barth again for Christmas? You're welcome to the island. Raid is coming with joy. Blah blah. Elon Musk don't know. He hesitates apparently. Crazy shit. Like one of the latest publications in X from Elon Musk. If you read it, it's absolutely crazy. Basically, Elon Musk says, if I wanted to do all those despicable things to minors, all right, I would not need a help from a freak like Epstein. I would successfully do it myself, and much more successfully and efficiently than Epstein. Freud would cry, all right, my friends. If Freud read that shit, he would literally cry because I, I don't even know how to comment this. Elon Musk is mad that his pedophile friend was making fun of him for not being pedophile enough. That is just insane. Lester Nygaard. All right, so let's check it out. Lester Nygaard. Nygaard. So there it is. Who is he, by the way? Let me know. Guys, can you please briefly inform me who is this man? Leslie Groff, blah, 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 Lester. Okay, let's just search the last name. Character from Fargo. Jesus. Well, there is some dude mentioned here. I don't know. Uh, I'm sure that I am not mentioned here because my channel started under operator Starsky only in 2022. But I believe that I would not be mentioned here anyways. That is another reason to subscribe to my channel, my dear friends. So, what else? So he's a convicted rapist. All right, I'll keep that in mind. Woody Allen. So there is a very, very big correspondence here between him and Woody Allen. You can literally, there on the left, there's like filter of emails and stuff. You can find whoever you like. Crazy thing I learned myself literally just yesterday was that Stephen Hawking, who also visited his island, there was a testimony from one of the so-called Epstein's girls who actually said that she had sexual intercourse with Stephen Hawking, which was something absolutely, absolutely freaking insane and unexpected. Uh-huh. Canadian designer who's been charged with some ugly sex crap. I don't know about this one. Gerhard Schroeder. Do you think they were connected with Schroeder? That'd be interesting. Because if you search the emails, of course, it will not always display emails coming from this person that you search, but it will also display the keywords, including the names, the last names in the emails, right? Assistance required in solving rejection points on blah 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 case. No, I don't think that Gerhard Richter and stuff. No Gerhard Schroeder here. But again, who knows? Because the Stephen Hawking or someone with Stephen Hawking himself. There is a photo of Stephen Hawking with like ladies. All right, let's check out some pictures because we can. So in here, in this service, there in the bottom, there is like J photos, for example. You can see everything. Like all this ugly crap. Um, some are heavily redacted. I'm not even sure if Jesus. I am so sorry, my friends. Um, yeah, but when you go, for example, all right, I just want to show you one thing. Here is his property and stuff. So when you go and see things like this, all right, nothing redacted at all. Like, I understand if victims are redacted, their faces are redacted and stuff, but when like hundreds of documents look like this, a lot of questions emerge immediately to the Department of Justice, the FBI, and everybody involved. So where did I see that? Let me see if I find this one because I literally saw one yesterday of the Stephen Hawking, the same Stephen Hawking, with some ladies at the Epstein Island. All right. Okay, I will be scrolling off screen in the meantime because who knows? YouTube can be crazy at times. Yeah, but that is something absolutely crazy, I think. Hello to beautiful Romania, by the way. They were kids from poor families or models they could manipulate by taking away their passports. Yes, so that was one of the ways to like either keep them on the island or punish them for something. There was this 15-year-old girl who actually attempted to escape from the island. She tried to swim. All right, she was abused so much, so she tried to swim herself and she was caught by the guards, by Epstein's guards, who were on a boat, and she was brought back to the island. Her ID was taken from her, and she testified about this. So there are some absolutely crazy stories. Hello from the East Coast, USA. I haven't been in chat with you for a long while. I'm on an old crappy laptop with no sound, but have closed captioning. Hello, my friend. How come you don't have like sometimes maybe the speakers don't work, but you can just use the headphones. Maybe that will help. I have no idea, or maybe just something with your sound card. Maybe you gotta refresh the drivers or something. Because recently I had the same problem actually with my Mac, with my laptop here, because I installed some update, like the most recent update. My sound fucking died immediately for no apparent reason. Francine Lefrag and Richard, New York City billionaires, have connections to Russia and Israel. They are in the files. Um, so again, sometimes you find stuff. Oh, Farage. That's interesting, by the way. Do we have emails from like Farage? So there are mentions, okay? There are mentions of Farage in the text, but no direct correspondence between them. But again, there is direct correspondence between Epstein and literally like Russian FSB people. Starsky telling people who can't hear them how to fix it. Yeah, this is something that reminds me, like when you have a WinRAR archive, all right, and in order to extract it, you need to download WinRAR program, the archiver, and you download the archiver packed with the RAR. I had this like recursion several times back in my days. The law passed by Congress said they were not allowed to redact anyone because of their reputation possibly being damaged. Yeah, absolutely, but it doesn't seem to me like they cared much about that for some reason. Steve Jobs not in the files. Much respect. There is some testimony of the guards heavily redacted. They're probably in the uncharged conspirators. Yeah, and by the way, he also had, I believe, like a Russian guard. One of the bodyguards that worked for Epstein, he was like MMA guy, and he was, I think, Russian, either Russian or Ukrainian. How do you get his Gmail password? Ask FBI, my friend. They know everything. They know magic. Yo, hello, my friends. Hello. Nick Candy from Reform Party appeared in the files. I am not surprised. Crazy that Epstein first sold girls to rich and powerful people and then used video evidence to basically sell the rich and powerful people as slaves to Russia and other bidders. Yeah. He was so much interested in cryptocurrency, as you remember, and Russians use cryptocurrency big time in order to evade sanctions. And also, we know that a lot of powerful people, politicians, oligarchs, and rich pedophiles from Western countries and the United States, they also use cryptocurrency to receive investments, all right, in their businesses, in their funds. One of the examples is current American president. And why it's so sketchy, you might ask. The reason it's sketchy is because you cannot trace those transactions. You don't know who sent them, all right? Respect for not being in the files. Yeah. That is the case. Like if you're not in the Epstein, currently it's like a meme, you know. If you're not in the Epstein files, you are considered trustworthy. There were a lot of interesting mentions, all right, in the Epstein files, like superheroes and stuff like that. Yeah, but the fact is, Donald Trump is currently one of the most mentioned people in the Epstein files for some reason. Please no anti-vaxxer, anti-gates conspiracy. Oh my God, Russians loved this conspiracy so much. My friends, if you don't know this one, Russians were heavily spreading disinformation about Gates installing microchips into people who receive vaccines. Why Gates? I have no idea. But that's something we've seen a lot in the Russian media. Like microchip in your forehead, the sign of Satan, stuff like that. More mentions of Trump in the files than Jesus in the Bible. Are there mentions of Jesus in the files, by the way? I wouldn't doubt if Whitco's wrinkly old ass is somewhere in there. That's interesting. Why not? Yes, there is a mention, but not directly an email from him, all right? Richard Kahn shares the publication with Jeffrey Epstein that Witkov looked to get 800 million in EB5 funding. Of course, one person that you can easily find there in the files is Indike. All right. Again, you can search yourself, my friends. Please use this link. It will take a lot of time, as you probably understand, but um, there's Indike, very personal Epstein's attorney who currently represents the interests of current United States chief of the War Department. Like they keep all of their men very close, you know, especially because Indike knew a lot. Everybody walks around with a GPS in their pocket called a cell phone. Why the forehead? Absolutely, I have no idea. But it was even in Ukraine. You know, you would go somewhere in like bus, okay, and you pass some kind of graffiti that literally says microchip in the forehead, the sign of Satan, or something like that, and then some sort of URL that you can go and see some kind of crazy shit. I didn't even check it, I swear. I will listen to this whole chat when I have sound again. My friend, best wishes to you. I know that you cannot hear me, but um, best wishes to you in advance. Hello, much love to you and beautiful Deutschland. Schwab and Branda have been falling out, and somebody tipped the WEF to investigate Schwab and his wife. I don't know much details on this one. Am I still going to follow the Winter Olympics? I think I might. Why not? You think we will see anything interesting? Maybe like a team of Russian chemists. Maybe. Chemical Russians. So, I'm checking out the folders, trying to find. Uh, oh my god. Just give me a second, my friends. There it is. There it is. Well, this one is not an AI, all right? That is literally a real one, as much as I can tell. Laughing so much is helping me digest my meal. My friend, it's not food talk yet, okay? Just wait just a bit, all right? However, it's actually very smart to eat in advance, okay, before we start talking about food. Because I do have something to show you, my friends. Ukraine news. All right, let's check this one out because we have some updates. Again, why the hell do I close the viewer? I have literally no idea. Maybe it's because I have dementia and it's progressing. Uh, I don't know where to start. All right. So, first of all, the Russians are extremely dissatisfied and devastated with the fact that Elon Musk switched off Russian Starlinks and they cannot use Starlinks on Ukrainian territory. First of all, the question that is absolutely obvious, and it's so obvious, so it's ridiculous. How exactly did Russians manage to use Starlinks on the Russian territory? I'm not even asking how exactly did they manage to bring those Starlinks to Russia. Who cares? All right, let's pretend that it's easy and possible. And again, there's a lot of different organizations that actually make it possible, right? Um, how exactly did they make them work on the Russian territory? That's a very, very interesting question. But it took several days, about a week, for Ukrainian new Minister of Defense, and you know that he's an IT guy, to connect with Elon Musk and talk to him in order to stop those Starlinks, stop Russians from being able to use the Starlinks. And Elon Musk agreed. And immediately, little fans of Elon Musk will be like, "Yay! I told you, Starsky, you suck. Elon Musk is a great guy. He's a real patriot. He stands for the right cause. You were biting the hand that fed you, fucking Starsky, because Elon Musk provided you with those amazing Starlinks. He granted you gazillion of Starlink terminals straight from his very, very own pocket for free. Okay. And you are such a piece of shit, trashing Elon Musk all the time. So the reason he did is absolutely obvious because, everyone who was noticed in the Epstein files nowadays is doing their best to be good guys, all right? Like they do like everything possible to switch the focus, okay, from being involved in the most despicable shit you can imagine to something better. Okay, so of course Elon Musk is happy to help Ukraine as much as possible. Not sure if it helps his karma, but at least it's not something bad. When he talks shit about Ukraine, that is bad. When he turns off Starlinks to Ukrainians, that is bad. But when he turns off Starlinks for Russians, that is actually not that bad. That is something that we can celebrate. All right, let's not be too harsh, but let's keep it real. So the Russians are crying there in the social media. They say that at this point, this is not just a problem. I'm literally quoting the messages from the Russian terrorists themselves. They say it's not even a problem, it's a catastrophe, all right? All the management, all the command over the Russian troops is freaking down. At different spans of the front lines, the attacks stopped. And I confirmed this information. So at some spans of the front line where they don't have like big activity of drones, the Russian communication services are already bringing the fiber optic cables to the positions, and everything basically returns into the era of the Russian Great Patriotic War. That's the way they call the World War II, as you probably remember. They say there is no alternative to Starlink. Someone is even trying to use Ukrainian cell communications, the cell network, but you all know the consequences. And the consequences are basically Ukrainian communication networks, Ukrainian cell networks can easily either shut down whatever Russian equipment using the Ukrainian SIM cards or intercept signals and things like that. But I would not say that there is no alternative for the Starlinks because, guys, do you want to laugh? If you do, please let me take a sip and we will laugh in just a second. You gotta love what you see, okay? You gotta love this one. Is there a non-American alternative for Starlink? Yes, yes. And of course, Musk can easily do the same for Ukraine. And he already did the same for Ukraine. 2022, 2023, he already did that shit to Ukraine. There is alternative. It's much more expensive. It's less fast. All right, it's slower. But at the same time, James, my dude, the man, the legend, who will be tomorrow on my stream in the evening, approximately around the same time, he will talk about this because he's actually an engineer who designed Ukrainian alternative for Starlink, and it doesn't use satellites, it doesn't use the expensive equipment, and the speed is freaking insane. So we will talk about this tomorrow. But it's a very, very important topic. Returning to Starlink alternatives, Russians can actually, sigh with a relief because alternative has been found. Presenting to you, my friends, is Belarusian Starlink made from branches, shed, and potato. Yeah, so this is Belarusian dictator Lukashenko speaking to the dude I think he's like one of the designers of the holy shit. What is this? Oh my god. Um, I assume it's antenna. All right. I assume it's antenna. Maybe something different. Okay, so this on your screens is something that Belarusians are calling their alternative to Starlink. Let's hear what they talk. He's like, "Oh, so you did this yourself and for free?" And he's like, "Well, not for free, but it costs just a tiny, tiny money." He's like, the Lukashenko is like, "But it doesn't cost you billions of dollars." He's like, "No." Like, of course, those stupid people, those like stupid scientists there in the America spending billions of dollars making their Starlinks, creating high technologies. I don't know, billions of dollars. But here in our Belarus, we created something that costs much less, looks like dildo, and does something. All right. He's like, so we don't need Elon Musk. The dude is like, no, we don't need Elon Musk. Of course, you don't need Elon Musk. You need a fucking frying pan and the potato masher. Uh, the potato man. Oh shit! Now I know what is the. Oh fuck! Oh my god! I'm hysterical. Ah, now I know what this stuff reminds me. Just a second. Um, just a second, my friends. This one. Oh my god. I'm almost crying, my friends. So, like this stuff, I think you all know how to use it. Let me cry. Oh my god. What's wrong with me? So you know how to use it, right? You know what it's made for. And now I understand why they have it here. That's not a dildo, my friends. That's the stuff that they use to make mashed potatoes. And of course, they don't need Elon Musk to implement this piece of equipment into this so called Belarusian Starlink and make us all extremely happy, my friends. So you can both transmit and receive signal and also use it to make mashed potato right there on your position without even uh, changing your activity. Jesus, this is genius. He's like, so this system works like Starlink? I'm like, yes. He's like, yes. Does it use the principles of Starlink? He's like, yes. He's like, besides providing all the necessary communication services, this equipment provides you with the access to the internet network. And Lukashenko is like, ooh, that's cool. Internet. I've heard about that. I remember I've heard about internet sometime. Do you think they can do this in Russia? I don't think so. Of course, they can snatch Belarusian technology, but they will need to power it with potato, I think. And they don't really have much potato in the terrorist federation. Besides that coming from Belarus. This is genius. Oh my god. Oh, okay. We will return to the Russian Starlink alternatives. The Russians are again nagging big time because yesterday Ukraine hit a number of Russian air defenses in Belgorod, They call it the preparation work before the strikes on the energy infrastructure of Belgorod. Again, we will talk about this as well. They say that three positions of the mobile radio location systems were hit, two of them were destroyed by good Ukrainian drones. Also, overnight, an attack was conducted on the Russian air defense not far from Novoselovka. And also, there was a strike on the Russian power substation Belgorod 330 using two HIMARS missiles. That's what the Russians are saying. Trump supporting Orban. Okay, fuck them both, sincerely. And returning to the Russian Starlink alternatives, so they kind of do have something that works like Starlink. It's extremely fucking expensive. Okay, 43,000 rubles is basically half $1,000 or something like that. So they kind of have it. It costs $500 for Russians, but that's just the equipment. That's just the antenna itself. Internet, of course, costs much more. So it's basically for like Russian oligarchs and stuff. But it was like that while they had Starlinks. After the Russians lost access to Starlink network, this stuff became the only thing the Russians can use. And just keep in mind, all right, like this is an old picture actually, 43,000 Russian rubles, which is roughly $500. So this stuff immediately became 3 times more expensive. Okay, and now it costs 131,000 Russian rubles, or roughly like $1,500. Just like 3 times more expensive than 2 days ago. Who cares? So that is currently the only thing the Russians can do. And they also show that this one is actually a discount, because 131,000 rubles, it's what they offer now, because otherwise that would cost 268,000 rubles. How cool is this? Anyways, we all know that Russians are very, very fond of supporting their righteous cause, all right, their glorious army and shit like that. I want to share some absolutely crazy story with you, my friends. Again, I'll just take a small puff here. This one is insane. So, you know that today 157 Ukrainian soldiers returned home. They were exchanged for 157 Russian terrorists. Among those guys was a Ukrainian soldier who was considered killed in action. This is actually from his funeral picture, all right? He was considered killed in action because they identified DNA that contained his DNA. So they assumed that he was dead. I have literally no idea how to make it possible. Actually, I do. We even joked about this one. But he was identified as dead, and for 3 years, his parents and his relatives considered that he died. So he returned home today. And there you can even see the message from the Ukrainian service. Congratulations, Daletsky Nazar Fedorovich returned from the captivity. This one is absolutely insane. This is something that makes my eyes water, my friends. And here is gorgeous footage of Ukrainian Flamingo missiles being launched at some Russian, I don't know, positions, facilities, whatever. Bringing peace, joy, and happiness to the Russian terrorists. Uh, so we have another penguin case here, all right? This Russian public is actually criticizing this video. This is a screenshot from a Ukrainian video showing a Russian penguin getting better, becoming better right there in the snowy field in Ukraine. And these Russians, they say some fucker convinced our guy that this is an ideal camouflage and sent him across the field, you know, testing the fate, all right, testing the destiny. And of course, he was improved. Okay, this Russian penguin became better. But I've seen another one, my friends. I've seen several publications coming from Russians that actually analyzed this video, and what they said was Ukrainian Nazi are killing kids, like because when you look at this person wearing the penguin costume, it's not a grown up. It looks like a kid walking across the field wearing a penguin costume. Well, of course, kid wearing like 45th size shoes and stuff. Just decided to walk across a front line, all right, in the area of the active combat. Okay, like 100% Russian logic is absolutely impressive. Yeah, but that is not the case, of course. All right, we all understand who they are and what they're doing there. If you want more Russian cringe, I have something to show you. So all those publications come from the Russian military expert Vasily Dandikin, who spent half a year taking Ukrainian Konstantinivka every single month. So Russian military expert Dandikin, my ass, says the fate of Konstantinivka will be resolved in August-September. Very soon, the expert revealed when the Russian troops will take Konstantinivka. Expert Dandikin says that Russian troops can take Konstantinivka under control in September. Before the end of winter, the Russian expert Dandikin said when the Russian troops take Konstantinivka, he said they will take it under control before winter. A gift to Kiev. Dandikin, Russia will take Konstantinivka already in January. I think he mentioned like August, but like whatever. It's apparent how fast the Russian army can liberate Konstantinivka. The military expert Dandikin. The Russian troops can liberate Konstantinivka from Ukrainians, all right, before the end of winter. I freaking love this. When you see Russian experts like that, immediately you have those flashbacks to like Colonel Douglas MacGregor talking the same shit about the whole Ukrainian army collapsing within just like several weeks, then several more weeks, then several more weeks, then several years and several more weeks and stuff like that, because Russian and pro-Russian military experts are just so good. Their expertise is so good, so they decided to invade Ukraine on the first place. All right. That is why I enjoy reading the Russian military experts. And speaking of Belgorod, remember he didn't say which winter. Yes, because you should always keep some kind of path to retreat. You know, when they tell you like, dude, like winter, he's like, yeah, I meant a different winter. Okay, so speaking of Belgorod, you remember that there were several strikes on Russian air defenses. We like just talked about that just a couple of minutes ago, and we can already see the results of those strikes. You can see that the buildings have absolutely no lights. All right, the people enjoy darkness. Russian people actually enjoy darkness. You can do all sorts of shit when it's dark. Like, I don't know, throwing syringes, blaming Obama for that, puking on children playground and stuff like that, basically being Russians, all right? Yeah, so nothing is glowing besides this like zombie sign, all right? Nothing is glowing besides this one. That's actually very, very nice. So, like, when you're driving past those dark houses with black windows, you can generally understand whom to blame for that, all right? Like this shit here, you can blame this shit. Also, Michurinsk, in Michurinsk, they've had some freaking insane fire. That was literally like yesterday at the train station. Several fuel tanks were reported becoming better. And this is Russian Chita again. Half Russian city, all of a sudden disconnected from the electricity. And do you remember when Trump was asked about, like, what's your opinion about the recent Russian strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure? Because Putin hit Ukrainian infrastructure on Sunday, between Sunday and Monday, and it was like minus 21 in Kiev that day. I talked to Mirko. He said it's like minus 21 here. It's freaking freezing. And basically, you remember that Trump was saying, we have enormous progress. Putin is such a brilliant man. He decided to listen to me, all right? Because I asked him, we're buddies, we're friends. Like, we did some shit together. So I asked Putin, and Putin agreed not to strike Ukraine during the freezing temperatures, all right? Because he's such a kind man. So Putin immediately hit Ukraine when he concentrated enough drones, all right? Because he wasn't striking for several days, while it was sunny, by the way. And then it's minus 21 Celsius in Kiev. He stockpiled quite a few drones and missiles. He hit the city. The Darnitsa heating and power plant was damaged big time and stuff. And Trump was actually asked, what do you think about this strike? And Trump was like, well, he didn't hit Ukraine for a whole week. That's a lot, actually, all right? Like that's a success. And then, of course, he hit Ukrainians like big time. He's such a strong but kind Russians are, you know. Um, so if you can find a way to impeach the bastard, please do. That's just my personal request as a Ukrainian, if possible, of course. If not possible, I'm just asking. All right, because I don't know. Like I'm a Ukrainian fuck. I have no idea. But like if there is a tiny opportunity to find something better than a demented orange fuck, please do. So Rostov, same picture. The local heating power station was hit. Same footage from Rostov. Beautiful, beautiful city. Like the houses are kind of illuminated, but the windows are not, which is interesting. Anyways, And here we see more nagging and crying coming from the Russian terrorists, saying that Starlink doesn't work. They also say, this one is, by the way, very, very funny. They say Ukrainian Starlink also down, all right? What they didn't know, actually, was that Ukrainians can register their Starlinks, make them authenticated, and use them easily, all right? Russians cannot. Doesn't work for Russians like that. So they were kind of happy in the beginning. They said that Ukrainian Starlink is also down, but then they realized that no, the smuggled Starlink terminals that they brought to Russia and installed on their drones, they are down. And the Starlinks that they used to uh, give commands to control their armies, just like Ukrainians, by the way, those are also down, which is great. The United States Congress approved a bill for the military aid to Israel worth $4 billion. I remember I've seen like those protests, demonstrations, angry videos of guys wearing like red hats, all right, saying, fuck Ukraine, stop supporting Ukraine, don't send our money to Ukraine, we need them here. I don't really see them protesting against the defense aid for Israel, all right. I saw them protesting against the defense aid to Ukraine, but Israel, come on, like what's wrong? Yeah, like fuck Ukraine, but like those $4 billion, we have some extra money that we can spend. With all respect to our Israeli friends, but that is a very, very interesting double play. All right. Can we do anything for your algorithm to make up for the mega viewers you lost by telling the truth? My friend, please don't bring mega viewers here on this channel, all right? First of all, it's too late for them. Because if they didn't start like understanding, learning, training their critical thinking, if in 2026 they still keep saying fuck Ukraine, stop supporting Ukraine, then it's too late for them, all right? Other than that, I don't mind. What exactly can you do? Basically, you can just comment under my videos, like, share, subscribe. That's it. That's the only thing that works best. Wondering about the future of the war. Let's talk about the future of the war. So, what I personally can see is that Ukraine will use, of course, more drones. The wall of drones will be installed, more solutions in terms of intercepting Russian Shaheds, and also more solutions in terms of deep strikes. All right, so we will see more things like Flamingo. Maybe they will be modified to evade Russian air defenses. Also, more Russian air defenses hits, more gaps created in the Russian air defense network, and also more land platforms, unmanned land platforms used to protect Ukrainian positions. That is something that I anticipate. I don't really think that the war ends in 2026. I've been saying that in 2026, Russians will face some extreme critical challenges. Speaking of which, do you want to know what's the situation with the Russian prices? I know that you want to know this one. So the other day, I decided to make just a tiny, tiny research And I researched why Russians call Pinocchio a Buratino. It was a different research, all right. Let me find it, the other one. How to play vampires in The Sims 4. Why did I even search for this one? Uh, okay. Um, Maybe it's on my tablet. I have no idea. Strange. Very strange. Guys, just a second. It must be here. Unless didn't update for some reason. Do you know, by the way, that Russians have their very, very own version of Pinocchio that they call Buratino? Basically the same, but when you ask Russians who is Pinocchio, they go like, I don't know, but they all know Buratino. Buratino is basically Pinocchio, only in Russian. Okay, it's like uh, I laughed my ass off. My lady told me that they have something like Romeo and Juliet, but adapted for the Iranian public. Okay, and in Iran, like the very, very same story, like the storyline, the characters are the same, only they are called like, I don't know, Amir and Fatima. Okay, but everything else is the same. So it's the same with Russians. They at least changed the name of Pinocchio to Buratino, okay, to pretend that it's not completely snatched, because the Winnie the Pooh, they still use it, all right? They call it Winnie Pooh, like Winnie the Pooh. And all the Russians who grow up in Russia, they believe that Pinocchio slash Buratino is Russian invention, that the little bear Winnie the Pooh is also Russian invention and stuff like that. Buratino is rocket artillery with thermobaric warheads. Scary stuff. 100%. And another very interesting fact that describes, the Russian mentality. How fucked up should you be in order to call your artillery with thermobaric shells a Pinocchio? It's like I don't know. It's like call a nuclear bomb like Barbie. All right. So I believe that it's on my tablet, guys. I gotta take it. I'll be back. Don't run away. All right. So, speaking of Russian prices, I made just a tiny, tiny research, again, using the tools that I have at hand. And what I found, why I can see it. Okay, this one, this one. Are there documented cases of spontaneous combustion? Why did I search for this one? I have no idea. Um, okay. Kiev strikes. I cannot find it. But what I do remember from my memory, despite my dementia and stuff, so the difference in prices between 2022 and 2026 in Russia is sometimes between 40 and 70%. All right. The Russian social media are actually full of Russians going to the supermarkets and showing, like, I don't know, potato that costs like $6 or $10, all right, per kilogram. And they go, what the hell is this? So if you like, next time I will just make a small compilation and we will have a good laugh on that over a cup of coffee. But already today, in 2026, the Russian prices raised, all right, sometimes 50%, sometimes 70%, but on average around 40%. So whatever they had, and they thought that we will invade Ukraine, we will become stronger, we will become richer. Currently, they are fighting like 60 kilometers from Donetsk, and their prices are growing every day, and also their inflation is growing. Making Russian customers and Russian civilians so happy about the special military operation. Finally, finally. Not only they have this amazing once in a lifetime opportunity to chill, all right, without electricity and heating, because again, if you calculate the number of citizens living in places like Belgorod, Oryol, Chita, and other places, Murmansk, of course, Severomorsk. The number of those people suffering there right now at this point from Russian invasion of Ukraine, all right, namely because of lack of heating and stuff, is approximately the same as number of Ukrainians suffering from Russian strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure. This is how karma works. Um, Rantay Solovьев is not aging at all. Well, yeah, um, he's very pissed because of the Starlink. And it turns out that it's actually a very, very big problem for Russians right now, because we didn't talk much about this, but Russians relied heavily on Elon Musk's Starlinks, heavily. Like, we generally had no idea that all of their commands, all of their communication services were massively using Starlink terminals. Yes, drones, all right, but the like on the level of the command, that is insane. Gripen was secretly upgraded last year. Ah, Rolls-Royce engine, rewiring, and other tweaks. I've heard something about that. So maybe this upgrade wasn't really secret because so many people heard about this one. Oh, we have Claire there. I find this Starlink thing really confusing. I have put some energy into hating Muscovite. Same stuff, but the question is, Starlink officially doesn't, like, is not supposed to work over Russia, right? Starlink is not supposed to be like functioning over the Russian territory. I understand why Russians were bringing, for example, Shahed drones closer to the front lines. First of all, because it takes less time for those drones to reach their targets, meaning that it also allows less time for the Ukrainian mobile groups and Ukrainian air defenses to like prepare and intercept those drones. Like, I can understand that. Maybe one of the reasons was that they also used like those Starlinks and they work better like over Ukrainian territory. But as much as I can tell, apparently those Starlinks functioned really well over the Russian territory as well. Okay. And considering the fact that Elon Musk has this godlike power to just shut off Starlinks over Crimea, for example, so Ukrainians cannot hit Russian Black Sea fleet for whatever reason. Apparently, he had the same godlike power to do this, like the very same thing for the Russian territory. But how exactly did that work? I don't know. Like, they assemble Shaheeds all the way in Alabuga, all right? They install those Starlinks in Alabuga. And then they basically ship them to the front line. When you install the Starlink, you gotta check if it works, okay? How do you check it if you cannot uh, turn it on and use it on the Russian territory? Basically, you can't. So why bother, right? So turns out they actually could use those Starlinks, all right? They could install them, they could check them, they could calibrate their position and stuff. Again, because when you develop a Shahed that connects to Starlink terminal that has it installed on you, you need to do this in the area that allows this connection, all right? That allows you to actually test everything. And you have to make test flights and stuff. You cannot just, I don't know, build them somewhere like next to the front line. No, you got to do that again in Alabuga, where you have the factory that actually produces those drones. So all this time, Russians had Starlink connection. That is interesting. I don't think that Starlink ban means that Elon cares for Ukraine. First of all, Elon cares for the stock market, all right, the stock exchange market. That's thing that he cares about, because if Russians can freely use Starlinks to strike civilians, basically commit terrorist attacks, his stock exchange rate goes down very, very fast. And Elon Musk needs to pay out for acquiring Twitter and stuff, right? So he cannot afford that. That's reason number one. Reason number two is, of course, he needs to do whatever he can to shift the attention from the Epstein files, because Elon Musk was spotted, all right, emailing Jeffrey Epstein and asking about the wildest parties on his island that he wanted to participate in. And that is something that Elon Musk is not interested in mentioning at all. So he wants to shift the attention somehow. And that is why he prefers to collaborate with the Ukrainians rather than, do the opposite thing. Doesn't mean that he's a good guy. We all know where his dad went last year. He went to Moscow to Dugin's conference and he felt fine, all right? So doesn't mean that Elon is a great guy. Yes, you can see Ukrainian ministers talking to Elon and saying, you know, like thumbs up. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Sincerely, thank you for your cooperation. Thank you for switching off those Starlinks. Because one thing is, turning off Starlinks for Ukrainians, and absolutely different thing is to allow Russian terrorists use them as weapon. That's a completely different thing. All right. However, who knows? Maybe we will see that in the future as well. Uh, but I can understand why he did that. I can understand why all Ukrainian leadership is saying, Elon Musk, you're a great guy. All right. Despite the fact that you repost the shit that Russians literally send you, all right. So you post on your Twitter, despite all that stuff, we are happy that you decided to switch them off. Because why not? Because they're diplomats and that's their job. All right. My job, I'm not a diplomat. I am a person with freedom of speech that I exercise every single time with my personal opinion. That is why I will talk about Elon Musk the way he deserves it, all right? When he does something good, I agree. Okay, thank you so much. From the bottom of my Ukrainian heart, thank you very much. But it doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that your name gets immediately erased from the Epstein files because it's a completely different story. Yo, Graham. Hello, hello. Welcome to the chat. Nice to see you. Also, Ukraine in the signature search for passport, but I need. Yeah, you can check that out. Again, my friends, please visit that link as much as possible. It's extremely important, all right, for self-development, for your very own investigations that you want to conduct yourselves. It's very, very important. There's a lot of things, again, a lot of those passports, which, by the way, I think, even though they were redacted, but not that hard to identify them because they redacted them as backwards. What's your favorite food in Germany? Oh, my favorite food in Germany. Of course, it's Turkish doner. What else? We're in Germany after all. Turkish doner, sushi, of course, forever. Um, Bratwurst, Currywurst und Schweineschnitzel. My lady doesn't eat pork, but I go to the my God, like Kaufland or whatever. I buy like this huge XXL schnitzel, and I'm just so happy because it's like it's good, it's juicy, it's nice. It makes you feel like a guardsman, like a conqueror. All right. So, I wanted to share something with you. It's good that you reminded me this one. Um, I think I have pictures. Of course, I have pictures because, every single time now when I have like a dinner, I make pictures of food, and my lady thinks that I'm kind of crazy already because, like, it's every single time. I didn't have this habit, seriously. Like, previously, I would just, like, food belongs to my stomach, all right? It doesn't belong to like my iPhone or something. Now, I literally, every single time I have dinner, I like put the stuff on the plate. I make photos because I know that I will have a stream, and there is a chance that I will torture you. So this one is literally very, very Polish slash Ukrainian dinner. All right. So on your screens, you can see buckwheat. That's buckwheat porridge. It tastes amazingly. All right. So that is buckwheat porridge. Literally, buckwheat porridge to 1 glass of buckwheat, 2 glasses of water, 15 minutes. Let it boil, and it's ready to eat. Smells like heaven with butter. So um, below it, you can see a smoked chicken that I bought the other day in the Polish store. Oh my god, I cannot talk. I'm drooling already, my friends. So that is smoked chicken. It's cool because you don't need to warm it up. You can eat it like that. And on the right side of the plate, you can see like some brownish something, whatever. All right. So that stuff is what we call eggplant caviar. And it's really hard to translate. That is, oh my God, that is like you take eggplant, you kind of fry them or do something and grind them. So I bought like 2 jars. All right. I bought 2 jars. Wait a minute. Can I zoom somehow? No. Anyways, so that like brown shit. It's so good. I don't eat eggplants, and I also don't eat squash, but I like that stuff from Ukraine, and I didn't have it for years. So I bought like a jar of squash caviar and a jar of eggplant caviar. I cannot tell the difference between them. Maybe I'm stupid, but since my childhood, I cannot tell which is which. They all taste the same to me, but they taste perfectly. And that's the only way I can consume either squash or eggplants. Otherwise, I cannot stand them. But that stuff I love. All right. And it's a very, very good addition to stuff like buckwheat porridge, to stuff like mashed potato, or generally any potato, fried potato, whatever. And also on the right, in the top right corner, you can see perfect Iranian pickles. And they are perfect. Okay. I compared to like Ukrainian and Polish, I cannot tell which are better. Because to me they all taste amazing. Those the Iranian ones, they come with tarhun. Tarhun is what you guys call tarragon. Okay, it's very popular in Georgia, for example. They produce like soda, like Mountain Dew in the United States, but in Georgia they call it tarhun or tarragon. So it's made from that stuff. It tastes like Mountain Dew. Um, so Iranians put tarragon inside the jars, like with the pickles, which is something strange. It's something unusual, all right, but actually it's really, really cool. Like it tastes and smells really nice. But also there's like those Polish pickles that I also considered like proper pickles, and specifically ogórki kiszone, like the tiny ones, right? So that is the dinner I had the other day, because we went to like Ukrainian store, or what they call Eastern European store, right? Like a lot of Russian shit there. Distasteful, absolutely distasteful food. So we bought the caviar, the eggplant and squash caviar. There must be some different way to call it. Anyways, then we went to the Polish store. We bought the smoked chicken. The buckwheat porridge I bought literally in Kaufland. You can find it there. If you are in Germany, if you're in Kaufland, check out like the stand for foreign stuff, like vodka, like all sorts of porridges. You will find Ukrainian porridge, Ukrainian buckwheat called żmeńka. Buy it. The way you cook it is literally like you cook rice. 1 glass of buckwheat, 2 glasses of water, around 15 minutes, and it's ready. And you just drop a bunch of butter in it, add salt. It's ready to eat, and you can save it for several days in the fridge. Kvass we had. Unfortunately, I finished it, but we did have Ukrainian kvass Taras, and my lady loves it so much, and she's like, "Does it contain alcohol?" I'm like, "No, it's kvass. It contains bread. All right, it's like liquid bread." So we had kvass, and I also have like a huge smoked fish in the fridge that I didn't decide what to eat it with. And also, by the way, we got like this big jar of smetana in the Polish store, but in the Polish store it's called śmietana. So Grecka for the win, 100%. Grecka is, if you're training, if you're growing muscles, if you want to be big and strong, you gotta eat grecka. Ukrainians eat, my friend, Ukrainians eat grecka all the time. That's what makes us Ukrainians. And what is kvass? Oh, what is kvass? I'll show it to you, my friend. So, how do I do it? Just a second. This stuff is what we, it looks like beer, but it's not. All right. How to explain this to you? Imagine liquid bread. That's basically kvass. That's literally, we have two types of it. We have the bread kvass and we have the mushroom kvass. Mushroom kvass is literally kombucha, only without alcohol. All right. So that is what we call грибний kvass, mushroom kvass. We also cook it with bread. We call it хлібний kvass, and it smells and tastes like liquid bread. So you literally you gotta have it if you can. All right, this one is worth it. Is it like Guinness? It's a non-alcohol stuff. So in Ukraine, for example, when it's really hot outside, you usually see like a bunch of like those big barrels, people selling this kvass, like a glass of kvass. You can just buy one, doesn't cost much, and it's like very, it's not really sweet. It's a bit sour. It's basically what my favorite hutzels are. saying there. It's basically like rye bread beer, only without alcohol. Did you ever see Brottrunk? In the 80s and 90s, it was an average German bakery. Ah, I will check it out. I'm not sure if they have it today in the bakeries because I never noticed. But I will see. Should have alcohol. I don't know. I feel fine without alcohol. I save myself for the victory day. Then I will drink like a pig. Is it is sweet and malty tasting? Yeah, so there are different versions of it. It might be like only sour but not sweet, or like not really sweet. It can be like really sweet. Russian kvass is basically like chemicals with gas. Okay, like you drink it and you turn into a fucking Moscow. I don't know. It doesn't taste at all. One time I absolutely accidentally bought this shit, and the reason I bought it was because they snatched the design of the bottle from Kvass Taras. So I got one Ukrainian and one Russian that pretended it's Ukrainian, okay? And then at home I realized that why the hell is like it's written like in Russian all around the bottle. I forgot to make a picture, but anyways. And I'm like, I tried it and this stuff sucks. You don't feel anything besides like bubbles of gas in your mouth. So, what is my favorite beer in Germany? Hmm, Polski Lech. No, I'm just kidding. My favorite beer in Germany is what was? Uh, Wait a minute. Um, Kronbacher. That one. Kronbacher is my favorite, 100%. I tried different ones, but that one just tastes like perfectly. Do you know the right transliteration to German kvass? I think yes. I think that's what you see, for example, in the German stores. Like when you go to places ah like Mixmarkt or something like that, you can actually find it there. But make sure that you buy Ukrainische kvass, not like that Muscovian whatever. Heineken, we call that wastewater. It's like Peacewasser in GTA. Kronbacher, yeah. Have you tried buckwheat bread? As far as I can tell, I think they even have this stuff in like German MRE, in German military ration. I can be wrong. Maybe that's like just an ordinary bread, but to me, it tasted a bit like buckwheat bread. So they have it in their MREs. in tin cans. It's actually really cool. Did you get your Dr. Pepper yet? Not yet. I didn't look for it actually. I will. I promise. Next time you will see me with like a tin can of Dr. Pepper instead of uh, coffee. But Heineken, I remember I used to drink it back in Ukraine before the war and everything when I was like a civilian dude. I remember I used to buy Heineken. Heineken, we had it in Ukraine, and I think we still have it. But it's nothing special at all. When you go to Germany and you buy German beer, you realize that there is like the difference is absolutely huge. Okay, when you're in Ukraine and you buy like German beer in Ukraine, you don't understand like what's the fuss, all right? But when you go to Germany and buy the same beer but in Germany, that's like two completely different worlds. I don't know why it works like that, but here is just so good. And also in the Netherlands and in Belgium. Alcohol is bad for you. It's a young man's game. I agree on that, Vlad. I agree with you because I had, I had my most of my beer between like when I was 16 and 21. Okay, that's when I had most of my beer in my life, and everything else, the heavier alcohol, right, the stronger stuff, as a teenager. I had like proper, uh, not childhood, of course, but you know what I mean. The hangovers get worse as you older. Yeah, yeah. I think, there is that sake bottle from Kharkiv that is waiting for me. After the victory, I'm gonna just drink for 3 days. I think I might not survive that, frankly speaking. Because when you're 18, you drink bottle of vodka, you smoke 2 packs of cigarettes, you go to the club, you dance all night, you drink 5 more liters of beer, and in the morning you go to the university and everything is fine. When you're like 40, you sniff the lid from the beer bottle and you're dead, basically. That's the reason why I prefer the non-alcoholic beer. Literally because I started to value the taste over the, drunkenness. Have you ever been drunk? Oh my god. When I was a kid, yeah, back in those days. Like the most ridiculous mistakes we make when we are very young. The same, is with the alcohol, marriage and stuff. So yeah, this taste over effect happened to a lot of my friends. We me included when we passed 40. Yeah, same here. Like I didn't drink vodka for years. I don't even remember when I had my last time. Seriously, I cannot even remember. Same with the beer, by the way. like the alcohol beer. Come on, 43 still making mistakes. That's what makes us human, my friend. Alcohol makes you do stupid shit like invading Ukraine. I agree on that. I love doing stupid shit. Yeah, same here. Potato vodka. I've heard about this one, by the way. It exists for real. I hate vodka in general. If something smells like the inside of the lab when they do blood work, I tend not to drink it. Yeah, yeah. It's because, like, vodka doesn't even taste, all right? What sort of taste does a 40% alcohol have? Like, it's ridiculous. That is why if I was forced, all right, if somebody held like me at gunpoint and said, pick your alcohol, you bastard, and I would probably pick some wine. I don't know. Something that actually smells and tastes good, all right? Favorite snack along beer. Mm. So the one that I can have every time, all right, would be probably like fish, maybe, like dried fish. Okay, but the one that I would love to have is called Tatar steak. And Tatar steak, my friend, is basically raw meat turned into a fine paste, mixed with plenty of different spices. And I'm talking specifically about the Rindfleisch, the beef, all right, from a calf. So on top of the black bread, and you don't cook it at all. The more spices, the better. The more garlic, the more onion, the better. And it goes really well with like wine, beer, or anything else. I know that there is raw pork in Germany. I didn't try it yet, but I think I will at some point. Because frankly speaking, I already have this experience of consuming raw pork. Back in the days, I was like big fan of this Tatar steak that you specifically need to cook it from cook to make it from like young cow from a calf, all right? Because otherwise the meat just it's not really good. And one time I accidentally, instead of beef, I bought pork and I dropped it in the grinder. Like it looked the same to me, or probably I was just stupid. I don't know. And I dropped a lot of spice and stuff, and I cooked the Tatar steak only with pork, and I didn't notice any difference whatsoever. And then in the middle of the night, I wake up because this Tatar steak is somewhere here, all right? And I nearly choked. And I'm like, whoa, what was that? Such a strange effect. Okay. And then I went to the kitchen and I looked at the label and I noticed that it's actually pork. So I was probably the first Ukrainian who tried like German stuff, all right, without even realizing it. I tried schnapps in Austria once. So I tried schnapps, the Persische Schnaps. Persische? The peach schnapps. Back in Ukraine in like 2020, and it was really good. It was mild, it was extremely sweet, smelled like peaches, and it was nice. Didn't you get sick? I didn't get sick from pork, apparently because I'm Ukrainian, apparently because we have like immunity to stuff. Pork is like Ukrainian totem creature. We don't get sick from it. We don't consume it raw, but we don't get sick from eating it. Pork should never be eaten raw, risk of diseases. I agree with this one, absolutely. That was a mistake. I survived. Apparently, I survived because I had like 5 kilograms of like pepper and garlic and onion in this pork. There were more spices than meat itself, because I prefer it this way. But I would not I would not try it one more time. Besides, like this, the German national stuff. Bacon is life. They have this smoked, like Schwarzwälder Schinken. Oh, I love it. I went to the store and I'm like in near the stand with all the bacons and hamon and everything, and I don't know what to pick. And I'm like, all right, I gotta pick something like something smoked, but I don't know what to pick. And in such situations, I usually do what other people like what other people do. All right, so I hide somewhere and I peek after people. I peek like what they get. And there's this guy, like walking to this stand and he's like looking around. And then he takes like 2 packs of Schwarzwälder Schinken, puts it in his basket and like disappears. And I'm like, that one must be that one. So I grab a pack and I open it at home, and immediately I can feel this smell of like perfectly smoked pork, and I finished it in like 2 minutes. So I'm grateful to that dude. My man, I don't know who you are, but you have my respect. Do you like fries with mayonnaise? Is that very, very Dutch stuff? I think that's like your local stuff. I do. I actually do. I like it with mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is something extremely cool. What I like to do, I boil eggs until they're like rock solid. Then I freaking cut them in halves and I add a lot of mayonnaise on them and I just eat them like that. Which is something I couldn't do even 3 years ago, because 3 years ago my sense of smell was completely devastated. All right, the smell of eggs would make me vomit further than I can see. But today, mm, feels fine. Mayo is for sandwiches, tuna, egg salad. Yeah. Oh my God, egg salad, Monster Lab. What are you doing to me? Egg salad. Egg salad made from boiled eggs, uh, soft cheese, like when you melt it, all right? Garlic, a lot of garlic, and cucumber. Jesus, that is something that I will be dreaming about tonight, my friends. Because unfortunately, I think that we have to wrap it up. Um, My God, it's like it's soon it will be midnight in Germany. I'm starving. And I had a very, very good dinner. But with that, my dear friends, thank you so much for watching. Next time I will make a tiny, tiny compilation for you with the Russian prices. I'm sure you will learn a lot of very interesting details about life in Russia nowadays. And also, you can come to Sweden and try smoked wild boar. Yeah, why not? I don't think I tried it when I was in Sweden, but I gotta try it. I gotta make up for it. So, thank you so much, my dear friends. I'm going to just run straight to the kitchen and eat everything I have here. I have there, including like that big pack of mayonnaise. Thanks for watching. Big thanks to all the moderators and also big thanks to all the members of my channel. As always, I appreciate supporting my channel, helping it running, and treat yourself with something good. Don't drink too much coffee, all right, before going to sleep. And we'll see you next time. Be safe, my friends. Much respect, and bye bye.